Hello everyone, not quite a fancy episode today, sorry about that, mostly because I do not have the frames. I'm getting like 2 at the moment, but I figured I'd try and do something for you guys. I still haven't sorted out what is causing this weird memory leak, but it's still here, so I'm going to deal with it for the moment. Set behind me is what you've seen in the previous episode, which was mostly about the B-Lab, and it was predominantly this big section, which was me building this big lava engine-y thing. Yeah, the lightning's definitely still there. It's got the 2 fiendish now, who are no longer checking for any kind of pollination. They are nocturnal, they are cave-dwelling, they are fast worker, and they are long life. Those last 2 aren't the best they can be, but those are still pretty damn good. And they also happen to have frames in them constantly, thanks to the little jungle tree farm that you can see over there. So we're going to be doing a few things today. I'm going to be discussing an interesting topic, because I know you like to hear me talk about things like that. So let me just pull up my notes, and while I remember, hop out of cheat mode, because I'm not on one of my test worlds right now. Okay, so first up, I'm to explain the current situation with the Mac with this big engine thing. Well, what presently happens is the fiendish bees. Try that on. The fiendish bees in these 2 alvearies, which are presently the only alvearies I have, but kind of worth it to have them, periodically produce simmering combs. If we stick those into a centrifuge, because they're automatically collected by the whole system underneath the alveary, they produce up to 2 phosphor and a bit of, I think it's called simmering wax or something like that. 2 phosphor and a piece of sand in one of these squeezers produces 2 buckets worth of lava. The phosphor and the sand are just fed in through that top router, and what's happening here with this interface is that whenever either of the squeezers doesn't have any sand in it, it will turn off its respective wire, which will trigger this autarkic gold gate. And this interface is just set to have a bit of sand in it. From there, it gets sucked into the router and shot into here, although whilst you might think that would mean that these would be pretty much stable, for reasons unknown to me, they just keep building up sand. It's a fairly slow rate of accumulation, but it's still kind of annoying, and I kind of need to figure out a way to do that. The most obvious way I can think of is that the next versions of Applied Energistics has what is called the Fuzzy, the Precision, and the Basic buses, which sort of replace the one model fits all of the buses right now. So there is the Precision export bus that we could use to export exact combinations of things, which would be very handy. But as it stands right now, I don't really have a solution for this. Any suggestions are certainly welcome. We're still producing more lava than we know what to do with, which then leads me on to more or less the next problem, which is that whilst we have all of this lava, that basically means these engines can run till doomsday and they'll never run out of fuel, but we only have so much storage space at the B-Lab, and it's that you're eventually going to have diminishing returns as to just adding additional redstone energy cells. So what I need to work out is a way to have these things turned off. You can control them with redstone, and they actually don't really explode like a lot of the engines in Buildcraft do, but they have the slight problem being that if they build up enough energy, which as you can see there is quite a bit, so I'm just going to turn off the lava flow here, then they don't explode, but they seize up and break. I presume that means this is full. Yep, so the whole system's charged again. And the main problem I have with them breaking like that is that, besides them being a little on the expensive side to replace, not that that's a problem in this particular scenario, they seize up and then they will only restart if you go in and attack them with a wrench, which doesn't quite fit my goal of having this whole engine system being entirely just self-contained. So I need to, mostly today, spend my time figuring out if I can walk forward. That'd be nice. Thank you. Figuring out how to control those with redstone such that it will know when the system can no longer hold any more power, and it will then turn the engines off, or at the very least the vast majority of them. We do currently, well, if I'm running the synthesizer and the purifier over there, then we do just start draining the system, but not very quickly. But sufficient enough to notice it. First thing to go, actually, is the backlog in those engines. So I'm going to go shove something in there. Move. Yeah, my keys are being a bit on the sticky side of things. But what is happening with that, I suppose you want to know. Well, lightning, yeep. Well, the news on the front of Elemental is that the motherboard is still out for repairs at Aria. I haven't heard anything new since the last time I heard from them, which was to say that it was it had arrived in Manchester and was undergoing testing upstairs. I have been emailing them mildly incessantly to try and find out exactly what's going on, but I haven't managed to hear anything. What can we put in there? Normal fertility, we already have one of. I need to burn that one, basically. Hungry, embittered, never pollination. It's an interesting one to have, nonetheless. Marbled, plenty of those. Redstone pollination, let's stick redstone pollination in. So once that, well, basically when I hear anything about that, I will tell you guys, probably via Twitter, so keep an eye on that, at Lying in Bedmon. And then it will hopefully turn up. I don't know if it'll be by the end of the month, I don't know if it'll be by next month or anything, but I hope it will turn up because I spent some rather significant money on it, a large volume of it donated. And yeah, the slight problem here is this tree farm actually manages to dip my frames a bit. Not as big as it could be, not as effective as I planned for it to be, but if I go and take a look inside of the actual AE system over here, it actually has quite a backlog of jungle wood at the moment. So, fairly decent supply. Oop, and I am stuck going right there a little bit. So what's happening with that is that there is... Can I get control of my character anytime soon? Nope, apparently not. There we go. Okay. What's happening is that under here is a series of 4 planters from the Mine Factory Reloaded mod. And when those have saplings or seeds or whatever and power and there's space to put them directly above them, they will plant those saplings and seeds and what have you. When those eventually grow, as the a 2x2 of jungle saplings is wont to do into a large tree, this harvester will first start shearing off all of the vines, which I now have a bit of a backlog of, and then it will start getting rid of all of the leaves. I can make it shear them and just keep them, but there isn't much point in me doing that, especially since I need the saplings. And then it starts cutting down all the wood. Slight problem with the jungle trees being, with the big jungle trees at least, is that they actually exceed the maximum height that the harvester can check. So you generally need to have a tower of harvesters, one above the other, ages away. But the problem we have in our version of that is that occasionally, when a branch on the big tree grows, it will eat the harvester and everything connected to it. I'm told that's fixed in the newer versions, but it's not fixed in ours, so alas. Okay, so how much wood do we have over here? Move forward, please. Thank you. We have 258 jungle logs in here. And all of these recipes, the alveary blocks and the impregnated frames and everything, are already using the jungle wood, so quite happy there. Very small tree farm, fairly effective, not the fastest, but it does the job quite nicely. It might need to run a bit faster if we get more of the alvearies running. Main drawback right now is that I don't have any way to automatically produce the string, which is tropical bees that I need to breed. So my idea, anyways, with this engine problem, is that we have these 2 redstone energy cells down here. One of them is power for the actual engine, circuit systems. So it's the centrifuges, the squeezers, what have you, the alvearies especially, because they can't survive just normally inside of Monroeville just yet. So that one is usually the first one that gets filled up because it has the higher input, whereas the other one over here has, I believe, an input of 50. Yeah, so the one with the more input takes the most energy whilst they're actually recharging. And then once that one's filled up, this one fills up. And this is the one that we're actually interested in because that's the one that's going to everything else in the B-Lab. So what I'm thinking is that we will have a structure pipe, a cobblestone structure pipe, on top of that with a gate on the side of it, which we'll be checking to see if that can store any more power, because if the system is draining or there's no lava or anything, that will be the first one that ticks on. From there, if that one can no longer hold any more power, then we can output a wire signal along some more structure pipe to some more gates, and if those gates are receiving a pipe signal, they can turn on a redstone signal and whatnot to turn off the engines. Now, unfortunately, these back up right next to the ones on that side, I believe, back up right against the tank, so I may have to shuffle this forward a block. But that's not a big issue. I can easily make more stuff for that. I have a liquid duct and whatnot. So that's fairly straightforward. It's just a bit of a slog to make, especially when you're getting 2 frames a second. So what is the subject I'm going to discuss today? Well, as I'm sure you're wondering, what I'm thinking of today is I'm recording this at 10 minutes past 1 AM on June the 15th, 2013, which has an special importance because it means that I am freshly 23 years old and a day, roughly. I'm born on my birthday is June the 14th, as I'm sure some of you will know. Certainly, a lot of you knew and gave me some messages on Twitter and everywhere. And birthdays are always an interesting thing. It's like the first thing that I always notice when it's my birthday is exactly how many old forums I'm signed on to, because it seems like they've been, like, for decades at this point, they've just been have this automated little script of, oh, it's this user's birthday, send them an email saying happy birthday, whether or not they've actually posted on the forums within like a decade. So there's a bunch of old forums that I was just getting messages from, which was interesting. A few of them I kind of felt a little bit guilty for not having been on more. Okay, so we've got that, and we need, I believe it is a cobblestone pipe. I actually don't think we need the lasers. I just set them up here mostly to make gates. Cobblestone structure pipe. There you are. And you are just a cobblestone transport pipe and some gravel. I don't know if we actually have any gravel anymore. We did have a bit of a backlog of it because the sand that we're making here via a pulverizer and that igneous extruder has a byproduct of gravel. But we haven't been using that much. But I think we can happily find our way to having some. Let's just grab that. So, we are going to need to hop over to the mall to see Newton, because he has the glass and the sand and whatnot. I bet we won't be using the stuff here, so let's hop over to there. The next thing you notice when you're getting old, when you have a birthday, is, I suppose it's exactly how much time has passed. Which is always the worst thing for me, because I have a terrible memory, and I really do not notice the passage of time very well. Which is probably why I'm recording this at 1:15 in the morning, and I have to have little timers on to tell me just how long I've been yammering, but apparently you guys enjoy my rambling, or at least some of you do. So, thank you for putting up with that. I'm losing my track now, aren't I? But the thing with realizing how much time you've lost is you realize exactly what time you've had. So I know I've had 23 years. I know that there should be 23 years of memory stored in my head that I just normally can't access. Because that's sort of how it works. Your brain remembers pretty much everything. It's just a matter of accessing it. Let's make 10 glass. But you don't really notice most of most of the memories in your brain until you have some reasonable reason for your brain to recall them, which is not usually as simple and straightforward as, oh, I remember that. What was the number of that lottery ticket and such? But for me, it's always a little bit different, because I just don't remember things generally. Let's get a bit more than that. Let's get... we'll say 36. Or 32, I think that's it. Yeah. And now we need to make some gravel, which we can do using the minium stone and some clay, which I only know because I made the clay from the minium. Well, from the gravel. So, yep, there we go. And that gets us 12. And I think there is a bit more in here. I may not have turned it all into bricks, I'm not sure. Clay? Anywhere? Nope. Well, so we'll have 12 structure pipes. To begin with, anyway. And we're also going to need some wires. I think we probably have enough gates to get this started. So what is the recipe for the wires? Because I can never remember it. It's iron and redstone? No, that's a chipset. Okay, there's the red, which is the cheapest one, so that's rose red, and I have a bit of iron and a bit of redstone makes 8 of them. I converted all of my flowers into dyes just to save some space in here, so rose. No, rose. Thank you. Apparently I didn't destroy all of them. Okay, grab half a stack of that. I don't think we need the full stack. Run to find the iron, thank you. There was half a stack of that, which is decided to just give me that. Oh, because I'm shift clicking. Of course, if you want to take one out, you shift right click it, but if you want to just take half a stack, you take right click. And that's the system replenishing itself quite happily there. And what was it we needed more? We need redstone as well, so red. No, Mr. D, that's why. Yeah, really bad frames. I get better frames, but not by much, when I'm not recording at the moment. So I need to find out what this memory leak is, so I can start doing these episodes a bit more normal-ish, I guess. There you are, come on. Balls. There, got it. Right, so... yeah, so there's all these memories that decide to pop up in my brain just by sheer virtue of it being a specific date on the calendar. So there's things like I remember a whole ton of happy moments from when I was engaged, which was a couple of years ago, and I barely remember her face. And I remember a whole bunch of family outings and holidays and such, and a whole bunch of stuff. And yeah, you can see from the ceiling here, I turned off smooth lighting, that's not helping me much. And then there's all those things that you notice that are a sign that you're getting older, like, it didn't help that I shipped pretty much everything I own in Middlesbrough back yesterday to Darlington, where it then assailed that it was my birthday the next day, so I'm sore as all hell today. Which is a great way to start your birthday, feeling very sore and old and fragile and whatnot. But I suppose that's sort of a hazard of getting old, as you start to get a bit fragile. But yeah, 23. I know that's not very old, but my mum and dad this year at least have been very ardent about referring it to me and Ed being Ed being my brother, being... I might turn that off. Yes, being 46, because we're twins, so we both have 23 years of experience, most of it in the same region and ideas and stuff, but nonetheless. So yeah, apparently we are collectively 46, which makes me feel even older. And while that's running, I suppose I shall start to lay down this, that's going to be quite the excess of structure pipe, but, well, not structure pipe, the wiring, but, oh well, helpful nonetheless. And it's going to be a pain to wire it in between those engines, but we can manage that nonetheless. Let's just start getting one of these off at least. And I'm sure at some very soon moment it's going to place 2 and I'm going to be annoyed. Oh no, it's decided to be nice. Okay, and we need 1, 2, 3, 4 at least gates, which I can probably quite happily get. It's more that you need at least an iron gate, I believe, to interact with the pipe wires. But yeah, I figured I should do some kind of video, because as terrifying as these frames are bad, I figured you would want to see something, and I figured it was a reasonable point to discuss the fact that I'm getting older, and I have done all of these things, and I'm remembering them now. And some of them are a bit weird, and some of them I don't necessarily want to remember, but I remember them nonetheless. I remember when I made those diamond gates. I haven't used those diamond gates much at all. I made them when I was, when I had the original B-Lab over by Resender, which I need to renovate very soon. To the left, to the left. Slide. Okay, so if I get control again, if I put one of these next to our output energy cell, or drop them, because my coin of fortune picks them up for me anyway, and then another one over here, and up here, and if we then apply our red wire, we should be able to tell the gates to interact with it. And oh boy, yep, that's a lot. But at least we'll have spare. I guarantee you I'll find some use for it later. Okay, and if we go like that, yep, and there, and there. Okay, so switch these ones to, if you are getting a red pipe signal, then turn your redstone signal on, and same here. Oops, created a loop there. Okay, and you need to be the more intelligent one, because you need to be able to tell the thing that it actually has no more room. So, if there is no more room for energy, put out a red pipe signal. And that should stop those 2 engines from pumping. Which will then mean that they'll just drain of power as needed. Yep, as we can see, the power in them is going down, and I basically just need to do that for the rest of these. If you have any ideas on how to fix the sand, I'm not entirely sure what to do without making it a lot bulkier, because the most obvious thing to use is the regulator from Red Power, but I'd like to avoid that, if possible. That's more or less all I have for today. Sorry, sorry this is the definition of almost nothing accomplished, but this is what I'm working with at the moment. So I may do another slideshow next episode, because at least I've gotten a video here this time. At least you've seen motion, kind of. Motion at a rate of 2 frames per second, but nonetheless. Yeah, I am getting old, which is kind of interesting and horrifying. Personally, I plan to live forever, but and I roll on the singularity, and I shall catch you all. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and or a favourite. Follow me on Twitter and subscribe to be notified of future updates. You can also check out the website where most other content is uploaded. That's all for now. Catch you later.